Hello, everyone. Richard Carlton. Welcome to the Awesome Day of FileMaker Training. Today's Wednesday. Tomorrow's Thursday. Then we have Friday. All days of Todd. This conversation is progressively going to get better and better and better. Friday, he promises to cause your head to explode or your money back that you've paid for the live stream. Real quick, if you want to support the channel, but purchase one of our subscriptions or purchase something from Todd, purchase something. We greatly appreciate it. All this is free. In fact, the stuff that we're doing today, there's Cloud-O-Matic, automatic with the cloud. You can do that if you want. Margaret, if you want to do me a quick favor and jump to OttoFMS, just do a search for OttoFMS, because that is the main thing we start talking about, and it's going to kind of pivot forward. This is a completely free, I'm going to just call it a tool for right now, that you install on your FileMaker server, and it brings you a ton of capabilities. It's utterly and totally free, like FM Starting Point, for those of you who've seen that. It's Proof Geist's contribution to the FileMaker community, and it has super high value in it, super high value. In fact, I was having a meeting with a couple of my staff today, and we were discussing how we would use it to automate offsite backups, exactly what I was looking at, right? And then maybe a webhook thing potentially too. Never mind the fact that it does data deployments, or like if you have a new version, a production version of your database and dev version, you want to push it to the production version, you press a button, and then magically happens, right? So basically,
Confetti.
OttoFMS is basically a box that holds it's a box that holds magical. That's all you have to know. It just works. So that's pretty awesome. We are excited by that. So with that in mind, I'm going to welcome Todd back to day 3, and he knows what the agenda today is.
I think so, but I want to check in and see if there's anything that from yesterday we need to cover or anything.
Well, there was a couple of AI conversations. We're going to save those to Friday.
Yeah.
Margaret, do we have any other things that slid by?
I did want to mention, Richard, that installer issue that you came across is fixed. So if people are installing on Mac Silicon and Apple Silicon and they want to use the native installer, that link is fixed. So all that should be ready to go.
Yep. That was good.
Yeah.
Every time it's just the way that works, is that we end up beta testing things sometimes, and I'm happy to report back the facts. And once again, at the end of the day, I really want all of you, and I say this every day because people think I'm making shit up. I want y'all to be successful, okay? And to do that, you need good tools, and no one's perfect. And so the idea is that it's why frankly I like the people that come on our live stream, Monkey Bread and Proof Geist and other vendors and things like that. When only vendors that come on, really the ones that I have confidence in, that when you report a bug, they'll take it seriously and it gets fixed pretty rapidly. And so no one's perfect, but if someone makes a good, honest, hard effort to resolve something and you don't feel like it went on the back burner for a year, then that makes me a much happier person to endorse their shit. So yes, that's where we're at. So Margaret, where are we?
We are good is where we're at. We pretty much answered all the questions yesterday. The ones that are unanswered, like mass renaming files or AI, have been saved with pins in them for later points in time.
Okay, so today's conversation was on the sub migration or sub install or sub.
So we're gonna do a couple things. We're gonna bounce around a bit.
Okay.
I want to because I want to cover some of the other parts of the ecosystem, and then I want to come back to some of the topics we talked about yesterday.
Okay. Cool.
But a couple things as we jump right in talking about like patches and fixing things. I just want to share a couple of quick things from the doc. So this is the version history for OttoFMS. You can find it at docs.ottofms.com, and you can search and do all the good things. But here's the version history of OttoFMS. So we shipped Otto version. We shipped the first beta version 11/30 of 2023. So about 18 months ago, and you can see all the versions that we've shipped since then. I see quite a number. And so
I have a question on this. What's the difference between when we talk about patch change, you patch your app, or are you fixing the patch? Because I don't think we have patch yet really in our
No. So this is just version history. And so in the broader software ecosystem, there's this thing called SEMVer for semantic versioning. And it's basically this is the version numbers you see. They're broken up into 4.11.0. So those actually have a meaning. The 0, the last thing after the second dot, is the patch is a patch number, and that
Okay.
means a small fix to
Mhm.
the software. The
Okay.
second number, so the middle number in this case, 11, that's a minor update, and a minor
Mhm.
update has new features. So not just
Mhm.
bug fixes. Bug fixes are patches. Dot 11 in this case would be a new version with a new feature in it. And then the final number, the big number, is if you ship something that has a breaking change, you're supposed to change that number. And this just
Okay.
helps like things that do automatic updates and stuff to know, hey, can I do
Mhm.
this? If it's a patch, you can almost certainly upgrade without worrying that you're going to break something. And
Yep.
even if it's a minor, you can probably upgrade it because you're only getting new things.
Yep.
Existing
Yep.
behavior is not changed.
Okay.
And then
Cool.
that first number, when we go to 5, that'll mean that existing behavior may change. You have to go and read that a little carefully. So
Okay.
anyway, in this case, 4.11 just came out in 527, so just a week ago.
Okay.
And that these are the new changes. Because it had a minor, that means it got a bump in the second digit.
Mhm.
And then we list all the patches, which are bug fixes. So there was a lot in this one. All these were bug
Wow.
fixes. And then here
That's a
are new
lot.
features that we shipped in the last. That's this stuff, right? So whenever we do a new release, this goes out.
Okay.
And whenever you are, if you're looking at, if you don't have the latest release down here, you'll get a
Mhm.
little badge that pops up that says new version available. And when you click on that, you will go to this page here where you can look
Mhm.
at this and decide whether or not you want to update.
Okay.
Okay. So anyway, I thought this was useful to point out because part of doing this, part of what we feel is very important is to do this as transparently as we can in terms of shipping, giving you the updates that you need to keep yourself current.
Okay.
And so you can rely on this and you can see we're making changes like usually at least a couple a month in
Yeah.
terms
No
of like
doubt.
319, 317, 311.
Wow.
Hopefully we're
Okay.
not doing them 317 and 319. That means we missed something, right?
Yeah, and that was also around Engage too, right? So there'd be more
Yeah,
action around Engage. Yeah. So
so so we fixed an issue that caused when we upgraded to 410. So that was why that happened so quickly. But yeah, you can see like so this is all the stuff that we've done. So we work on this really, really heavily. We're constantly fixing bugs or adding new features, and
Mhm.
we have a lot of stuff still planned for the future
Yeah.
in terms of what we're going to try to do here.
Mhm.
While I'm here, a couple of things that I think are important to point out. I think I may have said this, but I think I mentioned this, but just maybe reiterate. We have quick links in here to the APIs for the admin API, the data API, and the AutoFMS API. So you can look at all the things that we've added that you can do. You can write your own systems to do, right?
Mm.
That's there too. And that's all in the docs. You can find all that stuff in the docs as well. So, uh,
Docs.autofms.com. Margaret, I
yep,
mean, he already has that in his links probably, but let's
yep,
make
yep. It's
sure that
also in the
that's there.
links.
So yeah.
I've got it
Yeah.
over here in that big
Yeah.
thing we were looking at. There we
Yes, I've
go.
been resharing that all every day as
Yep,
people
yep,
have
yep.
it. They
There it
can
is right
hop
there.
around.
Docs is the
Beautiful.
second one down. Yeah.
Yep,
Perfect. Okay, great.
yep, yep. Okay, so day 3, we're going to move up to the. So we've been talking about AutoFMS. So AutoFMS, it lives on your server. We're going to talk today a bit about automatic. And in automatic, there's two kind of a rough. There is a separation between things we charge for and things that we don't. So when you get to the automatic layer, there are things you can buy from us, and we'll look at some of that. And that would be things like a server, for example, or um, or S3 storage. You can get a
Okay.
bucket from us or an S3 storage with buckets and all that. But a lot of what you can also use the automatic console for all kinds of free stuff too. There's plenty of free features you can use there. And so AutoFMS runs at the server, automatic runs in the cloud. And that is a
Okay.
website that you can go to. And when you land, you're going to land on a login. So it's console.automatic.cloud is the console,
Mhm.
and you can create an account, or I can just log into my account here, which I will do. And once I get in, we'll take a look at some of these features. Why is it being slow? Here we go. Okay. So it usually defaults to the last place I was. And this is showing, I'm going to go back to this example org. So in Automatic, we have orgs. An org is basically a billing agreement. You can buy stuff from us and we'll charge that org. But you can have more than one org. Like I have a bunch. Right? This is the example org. And in that org, I have all the servers we were looking at yesterday, plus another one here. So this is now a console for all of your servers. So here, if I drill into this guy, you see a similar thing that we saw yesterday. We've got deployments, we've got builds, we've got logs, we've got all this stuff. But now it's at the multi-server level.
Yeah.
So now I can see all of my servers in one place, right? So if I go back to servers, I can look at it in a list. So all of these servers we're seeing here are servers that are running on the Automatic Cloud platform, but you can add your own servers. So let's take a look at that. You can decide whether you want to deploy a new server on the Automatic platform, or you can connect an existing on-prem server or any other cloud provider, doesn't matter, as long as it's running AutoFMS. So I'm going to select that. I'm going to choose the example org. I'm going to go next. And then what I'm going to do here is enter in the URL to one of my Mac minis sitting here. /mini gicloud.net. And when I click next, it should tell me, yay, AutoFMS. We got FileMaker server is installed and AutoFMS is installed. So I can go next. And now let's just call this M4 Mini. And we'll say it's Todd's house. And now same thing as we saw before, I can create an admin API key to connect up that server to Automatic. So let's see, I need one password for my, here's one password, M4. Let me get the password. Create an API key, and that's going to take a few seconds to validate and connect it all up.
Okay.
And there we go. So now I'm going to connect, and let's go back to all servers. And now I've got M4 Mini, right? So now it's showing up with the rest of my servers. So even if you're not using Automatic for hosting, you can put all your servers in here. And if you're a consultant and you've got half a dozen customers or whatever, you can link up all of their servers into a single dashboard where you can monitor them and keep an eye on them and do all the kinds of stuff that we've been talking about. So then once we got all these things together, we can do a whole bunch of fun stuff. So this was a feature that I wanted specifically to build, and Kyle, who's the number one build engineer on this now, built this for me. So I don't know if you've ever had this, but you create a FileMaker file, you got a whole bunch of servers, you don't know what server it's on. You just forget.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Does that ever happen to you?
That happens about every 2 weeks or so.
Yeah. So check this out. So we've got a global search. Now I've got I don't know, 100 servers connected up here in all my different orgs. So I can actually search across all these different orgs, or I can search just in my example org, and it's going to give me a list of all the files on there, and I can filter that down and just say, like, is there anything there? I was looking for the file that had core, and now I can find that file and I know where it is. Oh, look. And by the way, that file is on my computer that's right here. All right. This file actually lives on my server here in my house, but I connected it up to Automatic. So I get all the benefits, all of the multi-server management stuff I get, even if the file is on in my house. So that works
awesome.
pretty cool.
Yeah, that's very cool.
So Richard, I was just sharing. So I did a search for looking for a file with the name core in it. Yeah. I found the two files. They are actually on the M4 Mini I just hooked up. So again, we get global search for across all your servers, no matter where they are, as long as you connect them to Automatic, you can find the files.
When you hooked them up, did you use a key for that, or
yes?
Okay,
same process.
Okay.
That's why we do that admin API key. So we don't We do not need to store your credentials for your on-prem servers. We just store that admin API key. That's all we do.
So we do that initially on the server, like we would have gone to your M4 server there, created the
Or
key.
you could do it right in line where you can just say collect, do it right here. But yes, you can go to the mini and create an API key so that we never even see you never even put your passwords in our interface.
So if I gave you the key off of one of my servers, then you would have access to, yeah, so you could add it. So that's okay. So you just create a new key so I can, huh.
So, and then you can revoke these keys whenever you want, right? So you could hook the one that you just hooked up, you just put in automatic on, the one that you just put AutoFMS on, you could connect it to automatic as long as it's publicly accessible, which it may or may not be. That's a separate issue.
Oh yeah, because mine's 0 tier, then that's how we protect it.
So you'd have to open up 443.
Yeah.
That's all we need is 443. We don't need any other ports.
Okay.
So.
And now what levels of automatic are billable? When do we start paying
So
you?
I mean, we can run through that. It's pretty simple, and you're told like very clearly if you're going to pick something that's billable. So like basically, if we go to servers, the fact that these are connected is not billable. But if you want to deploy a new server, then
you're going to pay for that.
You're going to pay for that, right?
Yeah.
But you can connect as many of your own servers as you want. We don't charge you a per connection fee at all. We don't charge anything like that. Now, we are working on, hopefully by the end of third quarter or maybe fourth quarter, we are working on allowing you the option to hook up your on-prem servers to our very extensive management logging and support connection so that your server, if something would happen to it, it would alert our engineers and we would be able to take action on it. So if you wanted to outsource the management of your server, even if it's on-prem, to us, we'll be able to do that through the same kind of mechanism. But just connecting it is free. But if you want to get additional monitoring and support, there's a support contract for that.
Yeah.
And then so buying a server costs money. If you want storage or SSO, storage being S3 buckets as we talked about, and SSO being
single sign-on.
Yeah, so custom OAuth. And if we get a chance, we'll do some of that tomorrow, or I'll show you.
Are you running your own OAuth system?
We are. Yeah. So we run we run a big giant OAuth provider, enterprise level identity provider, and you can create a realm on there, and you can use it to authenticate all your FileMaker users that way. We have lots of people that do that. And then cloud storage, you could just, it tells you the $20 a month per terabyte used. So, and it's actually, we just charge at the terabyte chunk. We don't charge a difference between, 0.1 terabyte and a terabyte. It's $20.
Oh.
And then when you get above a terabyte, it's 20 more bucks.
Okay.
So it's just easier that way. And it's still really cheap and blah, blah. You can pick, the different regions that we have and all that kind of stuff. Right. I think, so, and that is pretty much it. So you can buy storage, you can buy SSL, you can buy servers. There are a few features that are in beta that we may charge for in the future, but we're currently not charging, and we'll get to hopefully a big one of those later today.
Okay.
We also have some fun little tools here. So how many of you have you have a favorite file on a favorite server that you want to be able to quickly open as fast as you possibly can?
Yes.
So this is what we call a URL builder. So you can pick from your servers, and I can pick from TG dev. Let's pick from production, TG prod. And let's say I want that Highlander file. And then if I want, I can put the credentials in here, or if I'm using OAuth, when the file launches, I use OAuth, and then it gives you this URL. And this URL can launch the file, right?
Sure.
And then the cool thing is I can save it as a favorite, and I can say Highlander. And now that file shows up. Boom, right there. I click it.
Whoa.
And it will be launched. I can also use the K-bar, this thing, to type for my favorite. So I can do, I think I've highlighted here in a couple times. I do. You
No.
can see. And then you just hit enter and you launch it. Boom. Right? Right? So you can create a little quick launch thing, and you can launch, you can also do servers. You can favorite servers, you can favorite files, and you can quick launch them. We also have a few other tools here, which I'll leave, but this one's kind of fun. The other one that's kind of neat is you can use if you ever have like a documentation system like Notion or something, and you want to embed a link to a FileMaker file as in an HTML like page. A lot of those won't take an FMP URL, but we have a little thing which will take an HTTPS URL, translate it to an FMP URL, and then run it. So now you can put that as like a button on a web page. Click this button, launch the file.
Okay.
Yeah. Fun little stuff. All right. So let's go back to servers here. Any questions on this so far?
No, this is really awesome.
We do have some questions.
Go, Margaret. Go.
Is there a specific IP address or addresses or range where Automatic is located?
There is, but we do have. So that is a support contract level thing. You do have to pay us for those, but we do have IP addresses, but that's like an enterprise feature. We have support contracts that are like, different sizes, and the different sizes, some of them come with whitelisted IP addresses that you can use.
Okay, follow-up question. In the event of a locked down server, what happens in the event of a locked down servers where internet connectivity is generally blocked?
Yeah, so we do have some ways around that. It's basically running tunnels, and we can set those up for people. It's not super hard. We don't have a product yet, but we are going to work on a tunnel, which will basically, with OttoFMS, you'd go into OttoFMS, you'd go to settings, and you flip on tunnel. There'll be a toggle, like make a tunnel, and that'll give you a URL, which you can then use publicly. We don't have that ready yet.
But what does that solve for you, Todd?
So if you're behind a firewall, or if you don't even have a public, you don't have public DNS, so you don't have a domain or anything, but you want access to Automatic, or you want to get your server on the internet, we'll charge you a monthly fee, and we'll give you a URL that'll work.
Okay.
And it'll work for Automatic, it'll work for webhooks, it'll work for anything. And you don't have to worry about managing your firewall at all. It just gets around the firewall. It's kind of like on Connect, they have that on-prem agent thing.
That's why we use zero tier, and zero tier seems to solve that problem for us. So
zero tier. Only problem with zero tier, and this is why the problem with zero tier is that there's no public IP address, and sometimes you actually need that. If you want to have webhooks coming in from other apps, you need to have a public.
Yes.
You need to have that publicly available, and so then you need either a tunnel, or you need to have a separate DNS set up to connect to that. Blah blah blah.
Yep.
Those things. So we do have on the hosting platform, you can choose. We can set up so that only webhooks is publicly available, for example, things like that. We can do all kinds of fancy stuff, but that's usually at a higher, that's a support contract level thing.
Sure. All right. Question, Margaret.
Yes. Can I use OttoFMS to migrate my files from my FMS 19 server to FMS 21 server?
So FileMaker 19 is no longer supported. So the answer is maybe, but we're not going to make we just can't make any guarantees that 19 is still working. I could say that OttoFMS will not work on anything below 19.6. So if you've got something below 19.6, it will not work. You can't run it.
Yeah, just keep in mind, it's really hard for Claris or any other company like Geist to QA that's 5 and 6 years old. It's
not possible. We basically follow Claris's the same. So we support the same versions of FileMaker on the same operating systems that Claris does, and we do not support any others.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
It's too much of a support burden. So we just don't do it. But if
Yeah,
you upgrade, then certainly you can do that if you upgrade. So we have people who they'll have an on-prem server, that they connect up to Automatic, and then they have, customer servers out in the cloud or on their prem, and developers will be shipping files back and forth like that all the time. That works fine.
Perfect.
So I want to cover a couple more things about the console that are pretty nifty. And these are, again, this is all free level stuff. So I don't like this color.
Yeah, Margaret, what color should it be? Quick.
You know what I'm gonna say, orange. But Todd doesn't like orange because it sears his eyes, which valid.
Yeah, let's do that one. I like that one better. Where was I going? I was going right. Okay. So note, so this is a let's not use this server. That's why, because that's not even one of my servers. Let's go to this server here and let's go to automatic backups. So, and this will serve for any of the backups, like whether it's the FileMaker backups, the offsite backups. Just want to make this point that you can come in and you can.
Okay, so I'm looking at my Otto web
There's a way to.
console, and
You might
mine
see.
ends at
Oh,
logs. Whoops, hang on. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, automatic backups are only going to be for servers that are on automatic. Right.
Ah,
So
got it.
that's
Yeah,
our backup scenario, or that's our
got it.
built-in backups. You get 14 days just built
Mhm.
in to the
Okay.
platform. So that's that. I want to
Okay.
use the file browser though. I can go to automatic backups, or I can go to, actually, let's go to FMS. I think I've got a backup in here now. I do. So I can go in and I can drill in to databases and I can select all these files and I can just restore it. I wanted to show that.
Okay, this is the shit we've been asking for Claris from since the server came out back in the day, right? So
Because we're a smaller company, we can move really rapidly, and that lets us do things that are much harder for an Apple company to do, frankly. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to make you madder. So what we're going to do is actually, let me go to, yeah, let me make this point. So let me go back to servers and let me go, so I've got on my Mac mini here, I've got some files, these auto core files, and I can select them and I can send them to another server. I can pick one of the servers on my cloud, and I can add a new, I can still like a auto core. I didn't show this yesterday, so let's make a new subfolder, auto core. I don't need container data, and we'll just send the files, and it's going to send the files over to my dev server. So this is pretty cool because obviously if you're now if you got prod and dev and that's all you do, like this isn't that useful. Maybe a little bit, but if you're a dev shop and you're shipping files all around all the time, the other alternative is downloads, uploads, moving stuff this way, that way. This you can just select the file, send, done. Call it a day. Send.
well, I like the restoration. I'm still thinking about that last one,
Restoration
right?
is
I mean,
pretty cool.
this is just the cherry on the top. Here's a backup, restore it to live, and
Yep.
then you'd have to have whatever the workflow is to make sure that it takes the live ones, and yeah, so
It does all that stuff. It does all the things you'd hope it does.
no, I know you do. I'm just thinking that, just once again, I'm over here whimpering quietly.
So it's pulling up the files. It's going to take a while to do this, but we can just shut that and let it go. It'll be done when it's done. The other couple of things to point out here are like let's go to another server. Let's go here. And another thing just to point out, I didn't point this out. We've got an upload button, and this is available in automatic, but it's also available in AutoFMS on the FileMaker server page. You can just upload files right from here. So you can just drag, I probably have a file somewhere, like here's a test file. I can just drag a file on here and I can do an upload right here. I don't have to open up FileMaker to do it.
What about the container folder?
Same thing. You can do containers.
Really?
Yes, you can, although you're going to have to do that by going to the file browser to do it. But you can upload the containers to the file browser.
Okay.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm just always going to ask that because I'm like a container whore.
I get you. So yeah. So what else can I talk about? Well, let me look at my notes here. What am I missing?
Preferably things that cause me not to be depressed and whimper
Don't
endlessly.
be depressed. Be happy. This is free. You can put it on all your servers tomorrow. Doesn't that make you happy? You
It
just got a whole
does.
bunch of
Your shit
stuff.
is awesome. I mean, this is great. Everyone, this is actually, I mean that very great. It's not about Todd. Todd's just making, you know, it's like Todd, sitting there with his hair, like Fabio with his hair, and it's like he's so beautiful, right? And I'm over here going, we need questions from people. People are commenting like I was, like, holy, we can restore. Yes, we can. Jacob Taylor, one of my people. Yes, they can restore. Yes. Other questions, Margaret? Well, I'm looking at Discord. What other
I don't see any. I think people might just be basking in the awesomeness that is currently before them.
basking in the awesome? I got to write that down.
So remember yesterday we had to come in and we had create deployments and servers and all that stuff. So now that I'm an automatic though, I get a couple, now that I've got all of my servers from all my different providers and on-prem, the ones in my garage and the ones next to the helicopter in the office. Now I can come in and I can just go to auto deploy and say add server, and I can add from the cloud console. So I can click and I'll just say log into the cloud console, and I can select the servers that I want to add, and so I can do that, or I can also just filter by organization and just choose example. And so these are all the servers that were in that organization. I can select them all and just add them to my auto deploy. So I don't have to go in and do all that stuff, right? Boom.
Okay.
Now we're ready to go. Kind of cool. So you don't have to add all your stuff over and over again. So now when I want to go and accept deployments, my servers are all ready to go.
That's actually handy.
Groovy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Handy. So
Extremely
let's see.
handy dandy.
Where are we now? So I think what I want to do is I want to go back to some of the stuff we were talking about yesterday, because now we're better prepared to answer and do some of these things. I cannot remember. Ask the chat. Did we do a prod dev staging refresh yesterday?
We talked about it. We did not actually do it.
Well, let's set it up and run it. Okay. Let's go ahead and do that first. So let's do a new deployment. We're going to select the source. We're going to choose dev as our source, and the destination is going to be staging. We're going to go ahead and just take care of this real quick. And then I got to look up and one password. Set my defaults. Let's pick some files. And a couple things to note. Notice I changed the name here to dev. We're going to use this in a minute. So I've added a prefix to the front of this, right?
Okay.
Dev Highlander, dev Highlander, blah, blah, blah. Save. And then over here, let's see, I need advanced options. We'll rename using this guy. We'll go dev stage. Okay. Except I did this wrong. I know what I want. I want to choose a different source. Sorry. I want to use production for my alternate source here. And this is I'm gonna have to redo these.
Okay.
So prod is the default files are right. So go to prod. We'll pick Highlander.
Okay.
Save. And they're already on staging. Let's do a replace. I want to replace them with the new prod. And then we're going to add a sub deployment for migrate dev. And this one will use the this should be let's name these guys right. Pull from prod, migrate, set up default, same thing. Admin, slow me down if I'm going too fast. I keep pulling up the wrong autocomplete. Highlander.
That's fine. I'm trying to better understand the big picture item that you're trying to solve.
I will once I get this filled out.
Once you get this, yeah, but you can't, yeah. passwords and talking
yes,
at
so
the
we're going
same
to
time.
add files, dev,
Yeah.
save, and then we're going to rename. And actually, we need to rename them here too, don't we? We sure do. Just to make everything line up, we're going to go, yeah. I may have gotten myself in a situation here. Well, let me think through this for a second.
Yeah, take your time. Marks, how are we doing questions?
Just someone, Jacob confirming that he will indeed be testing the restore.
Yeah, that's kind of a nice feature.
Yes.
So here's what we're going to do. This will work. So we're going to do, so we're pulling the Highlander, we're pulling our set of files down from production. So the source is production, and we're pulling it over
down to where?
To staging, the
Staging,
destination.
Okay. Right, we're bringing out staging.
Boom, 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 right?
Okay.
And there's no rename here. I do want to make these a replace.
Okay.
Because we want new files. And then here, I'm going to pull from dev. I'm going to pull, and the files there are dev. They're underscore dev. And I'm going to pull them. We're going to do a migration, and we're going to rename them with the tool, removing the prefix. So it will match the guys that are there. Groovy?
Okay, hold. So we have a production, staging, and dev. So
Yeah.
I understand that. So did we shut? Okay, I'm gonna draw here as I do. So did we shut these down to make the copy or not?
We don't need to.
Okay.
The OttoFMS will make copies of the live files without closing them.
Okay, so we take the live files down without closing them. We
Yep.
bring them down here. Then
Yep.
we say we want to migrate schema. Okay, I'm looking down here at the bottom. I got schema here, data here on the dev machine. Okay, so let me ask quick. Are these sequential steps here?
Yes, they are. Sub-deployments run one after the other.
Okay. Okay. So it's not like it's going to do as much in parallel as possible because
No,
this is very.
you want these to go because you want to make sure that if one fails, you don't keep going, right?
Yeah, got it. Okay, so step one, we bring it down.
We want to check this, abort remaining on failure.
Yeah.
So if this guy fails, we want to
stop.
abort.
Yes. Okay, great. So sequential steps. Okay, then we're down to migrate. Then after migration, what are we going to do?
Then we've accomplished our goal, which is to set up a staging server, and every time we run this deployment, it will bring production data to the staging server and put our latest dev on top of it. So now people can go into staging and test features that are dev, but with production data.
Yes, which makes it much more realistic for them. Okay.
Groovy?
No, absolutely.
Yep. So it's you want to do your staging on real data sets, basically.
Sure.
Yeah. You want to do your testing on real data. So that's what this accomplishes. And then once we go with that, we've got everything ready. We do our normal thing. We review and where am I invalid? What am I invalid on? I don't see anything. Fix the character. Uh-oh, what did I do? I think what I might do is I might simplify this. We've got a couple extra layers here. Deployment name, it's right there. Sorry. Refresh. That one catches people a lot. It catches people a lot. We need to make that better. Refresh staging.
Yeah, you can just call it untitled, number 8 or some shit.
Because I always look down here. I'm looking down for the error, and it's right up here in the top. And if you're scrolled, you don't see it. You're like, where is it? I don't see it. And it's just refresh staging. So now we'll review and deploy. It gives us an overview of the things that are going to happen.
Okay.
And on the bottom, we go start.
Okay. That's pretty awesome. Next Tech, are the Next Tech people on, are you folks doing this kind of stuff? I could see you guys doing this. I don't know I think the trick, here's the deal. There's a technical component of this, and then there's the human nature component of it, which is, so there's two human elements here that are dangerous. One, and it has nothing to do with Todd. Todd has fixed the technology part of it, or Proof Guys has fixed the technology part of it. human nature is one, not to test, and two, even if they are going to test, they will forget they're in the test file and they will do production work in the staging test file and then wonder, and then they call you and the words they use on the phone are, the dog ate my homework. Literally, we put this in. I came back yesterday. FileMaker deleted data. It ate my homework, right? And I can tell you that I'm aware once or twice ever over 30 some odd years where FileMaker would actually eat people's homework.
Yeah, it's not common.
It's not
Usually
a
it's
thing.
rare.
It's
Yeah.
always people. Yeah.
So we do have some things to help with that a little bit. So typically on our team, what we do is, depending on what server we on, we put like, if it's on a dev or a staging server, there's
Mhm.
a thing at the top of every layout.
Yes.
As dev or staging. Confetti.
Ah, confetti. I
Okay,
love
so
the
the first
confetti.
one, so we just pulled production data over. And
Oh,
now
okay.
the migrate dev, so bringing the
Mm,
fresh code from dev over to shove the
mm.
production data into is the second round that's happening there.
Wow. That's nice.
So yeah, so what we do is we'll have the layouts on staging and dev. We'll have a big obnoxious badge on them at the top of the layout that says, bright red
Yeah.
staging or dev.
Staging, testing. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Don't.
you don't forget.
Yes, I agree with all that. I see this and I instantly think of all the human challenges I've
Yep.
had over the
Yep.
years. I mean, we'd have to walk people out of their office into a conference room, and that didn't work because they all had phones. So then we had to hold a cardboard box at the doorway where they all dropped their phones in the cardboard box, so they would be forced to test the software and not to text their friends
Yeah.
and do Facebook and
Yeah.
Snapchat and everyking else.
So you can see we're in the migration phase here now.
Yeah,
It's
but this is
copying data
awesome. This
over
is
block by
totally
block.
super great. So, Mark, do we get let me go back to the Discord here. We're doing next tech. Yeah,
We
doing
do.
similar things. He says doing things with a similar competing product. This is 1,000 times better. Yeah. So
You
here's
don't
the
have to
rub.
name the competing product.
Here's the deal with this. At the end of the day, I really hate it when I have great FileMaker consultancies run into each other with products. And so it's always better that they carve out their own little niche and don't, as long as they're doing a good job with it, don't intrude upon each other's little areas, right? That way we can all play nice in the space, because really at the end of the day, the FileMaker community is not big enough to support three companies doing migration software, right? So it's just not. And so I prefer to have one great company doing that, one other great company doing
Confetti.
sync. There we go. Another great company doing CRMs, another company doing QuickBooks, productive computing. That seems to be their thing. So yeah. So this is awesome.
Yeah, we can. I mean, I know that people who do the other one that I know of is there's a couple that are commercial, and I know some of them very well, and we're good friends. Like,
Yeah.
I'll
No,
make
well,
a
I just
community
would
well.
prefer that you guys, that way they can invest in a tool, make money on the tool. Because you guys have clearly done a ton of investment in this. It shows. So
Yeah, I mean, we're doing 10,000 or more migrations a month times, um, I don't know. It's been 7 years, 6 years.
geez, okay. Yeah.
So, I mean, do the quick math. Let's just do 60 months times, let's say an average of say 8,000.
Mhm.
We've migrated something close to 500,000 files.
I was gonna say 500,000. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
pretty
So,
awesome.
we've seen a lot with that. That's the thing. That's part of the part of the issue is you need to get to a certain scale to get through all the weirdness.
Mhm.
And we still get weird stuff all the time. People have weird configurations on their server, whatever. So it still happens, but you know, we've definitely migrated over 500,000 FileMaker files. We're going to see a lot of stuff. And that's going to give us a chance to really fine tune the thing, right? Like understanding what to do. Any serious development shop understands how to use the migration tool.
Yeah,
It's
absolutely. Yeah.
can you get it out in such a way that you see all the stuff, gather all the data in and the feedback and the experience, then figure out how to make the thing work well. That's just a matter of frankly, how big your market share is. And
Yeah.
ours is pretty big. I don't know what the other guys are doing in terms of size or scale, but
Well, now that this is free, unfortunately, it's going to encourage them to put their investment dollars elsewhere. So, yeah.
yeah, I mean,
That just,
I like all those guys, but we compete and
yeah, that's the way that
sometimes we
is.
win jobs against them and sometimes we lose. That's just the
Yeah.
way it is.
Okay, cool. Questions
Okay, cool.
from audience. This is pretty awesome stuff. So they built the staging. It's here. Then obviously once this was approved, then there would be a second pass on this a day or two later, where you're going to take this becomes the dev copy, and then we shoot it up to the production server, and it does
make
the
another deployment.
upgrade. Yeah, deployment.
So you'd come in, you'd make another deployment, and you'd ship. You'd call it a staging to prod. You'd go through and choose staging. You'd choose prod. You do the whole thing, right? Stuff we've been doing.
We have a question about the value lists.
Yes.
Is there a way to control which value list gets updated?
Right here.
Ooh.
Not which, because remember, we're not actually doing much inside the file, really nothing. But there are a couple of things. There are a couple of items which can be treated as either data or schema, depending on these things. Schema comes from the clone, right? Data comes from the production thing. But accounts, you can think of as schema, right? They're in the clone. But if you toggle actually, we set it up to be the destination because that's what you really want. You want them to be treated as data so that they are imported from production into your clone, right? And the same can be said for value lists. You can decide whether you want the value list from the clone or from the production. Typically, if you let the users edit value lists, right, then you're going to want to do
Get
this,
it from
set it up for destination.
Yeah.
If you don't, if you only edit the value list, then you want to toggle this back to source.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah.
So then you got this, and then you add your files, and boom, 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 boom. And I should mention right now, we talk about post-deployment scripts. These are really important. There are times when you do migrations that the migration itself is not enough. Because let's take a simple example of, let's say you're migrating a CRM, and for whatever reason, when the thing was first built, contact was it was just contact name, and people would put in the full name in that contact name field. And later on, you decide, I want to go to first name, last name, right? So your dev version has two new fields in it, name first, name last. If you do that migration, there's no way for the migrator tool to know it needs to split the other field, contact name, into first name and last name, right? There are three different fields. There's the old field is contact name, and the two new fields are first name, last name. So if you're doing that, you need to write a script that runs after the deployment to split the name out of the contact name and put it into the first name and last name field, because they'll be empty because there was no target data, right?
Yes.
Post-migration scripts are really important.
Yeah. Question. This is pretty awesome stuff. This is actually, I love this a lot.
A couple of the things that come up quickly, I'll just mention some edge cases. Sometimes you have files that are connected to the system you're migrating, but not part of the system. So imagine if you have like a reports file or something, then you're sending a new version of everything but the reports file. The problem is you don't want anybody to open the reports file when this migration is happening. So what you can do is you can come in and select different files on the server and just say, by the way, when this migration is going, close these other files so people can't get in. And not only for people, but for your server-side scripts that might be running, right? You have a server-side script that's coming along, and the file is open, and so the script can run, but it's connected to the other files that are closed. Bad news. So if you have additional files that are connected to your system that you're migrating, you can opt to close them here. We've hit again, this is like, we've hit all the cases. And so this is the kind of stuff we add.
So to be clear, this is still part at the moment of your free.
All free.
Yeah. We're back to kind of, because we're really not an automatic. We're in the auto.
You're not an automatic, you're an auto deploy. But again, the automatic stuff is only like, you can think of it this way. If you're costing us electricity, you're paying.
Yes, I agree with that. That's awesome.
What it comes down to. Yeah. If you're not costing us electricity, then
this is.
I mean, that's not exactly it, but that's a good thing to start with anyway.
This is pretty amazing.
Because we have support contracts, which are different, but and there's other ways you can pay us. There's lots of ways you can pay us if you want to. We'll send you invoices, no problem. But
Other questions? We have Margaret.
The confetti is well loved. I reiterate that again every time it pops up.
That's how Proof Geist rolls. We got lots of weird little silly things that we do, you know? I mean, if you've ever been to Pause on Error, you know. Let's do one more thing real quick. Let's have some fun. Let's go back to, I want to get to this last use case that we talked about yesterday, and I want to just set it up for folks so that they could see it. It's this multi-tenant use case.
Okay.
So, what do I want to do? I want to go to the Cloud Console. I want to go to prod is a good place. No, let me go to dev. Let me go to dev and I'm going to grab FileMaker server. I want to move. I'm going to send these files over to another server. Install. Beautiful. So we'll let that go while we're talking. So what I'm going to do is set up the multi-tenant scenario here. And we're going to look at a couple other features to kind of get that set up. First thing I'm doing is just shoving the files over to a new server. And then we're going to make a couple copies over there. And then we're going to do a deployment that would be like updating multiple customers with the same solution. Okay. And then that'll pretty much end our like deployment story. And we can move on to other stuff tomorrow and Friday.
Okay, cool.
But let's let that go over here. So yeah, it's doing that deployment. And while that's running, I will start to, did I close auto deploy? I sure did. Why did I close auto deploy? Well, it's easy enough to open up again while that's happening. Actually, let me do this in the console. Oh, hang on. I've got myself going in circles again here. Too many things open. I've got two copies of FileMaker open. Bad. Let's try again. Hope this is the right copy. Refresh. Yes, it is. Okay. So all this is getting set up. We'll start a new deployment. We'll say
start a new deployment. Give it a name.
Tenant.
Oh, the renamer. Yeah, the rename one. Yeah.
And then we're going to do the source will be tgdev.
Yeah.
And
one of our production servers.
And we're going to pick this one as our production server.
Okay.
And I think let's see where we're at with the rest of these guys if they're done yet. Oh, I closed way too many windows.
So it's still doing the login and everything, but it's not shoot. You're not going to see the confetti shoot, right? Is that the problem?
No, yeah, I closed that out. So we won't see the confetti, but we can go check it out. Like it should be, we'll see if the production.
Okay, if you close the log and the log was doing loggy shit, can you get back to seeing that it's done? I mean, you don't need the confetti, but how do you?
You can go, you can see whether it's done there, or you can go to the dashboard here and you can see.
Oh, that's where you'd see it. Okay, great. Yeah. So
by the way, you can also delete files.
That was successful with a warning. So
it was a warning. The files didn't open. I was prepping for something that had incorrect stuff. So so we just installed the files on here. Let's go and let's make this a little more interesting. Let's take these 3 files and let's do a rename, move, or copy. By the way, you can also, which is super cool, move files on your server into a subfolder. How cool is that? Without downloading it and uploading it back into the new, or logging into remote desktop and doing that, you can just move them. We can just move them to a new place on the server. We're going to use a developer tool because again, we want to make sure that our internal file references are maintained. And so this will be customer A. And again, I'm going to need my passwords. So you can see down here, it says dev. So we're renaming the dev file to customer A file, right? So kind of cool. You can just do this at will. You can make, if you want to do like, what some people use this for is if they have a bug in production and they just want to figure out what it is, but they don't want to mess with production, they just go in and they quickly just make a rename set of the files. And then they log into those rename set of the files and do their little tweaking and debugging. And then without affecting the production files, they can break stuff and look around. And then when they figure out the bug, they can fix it however they want, and they can just delete those dev.
Rename, move, copy file. So dev replacements, username,
Yeah, so this is
password.
how the developer tool works. It uses regex to replace a string within the file names with another string.
Okay.
So here we're replacing, you can see we've got it down here. This is the name of the files now. And then after we're done, this is the name it's going to be.
So in terms of rename, move, copy, we're just doing
we're renaming
we're
them
just
in place.
renaming. All we're doing is
Yes.
renaming, right?
Yeah.
Okay. If we were moving and copying, we would be.
Yeah. So if you want to just move, you would just move them to a different
God, I missed this dialogue. I looked down and I looked back up. I was at
So file
Discord.
system. So this is like removing. If you just want to use the file system, we're just going to like rename stuff on the files.
In place. Click on that. Click that for me.
Yeah. So we can do this.
Okay.
And that would work, but we would break all of our references.
Yes. Okay.
If you move, we could just move them into a different folder, which is pretty cool, right? We can just shove them into we can create a new folder here if we wanted to, dev folder, and then we can create the subfolder right there. So we don't have to log into the server and like create new folders. And
so file system level stuff. Then we have developer tool level stuff, which is where you were.
Right. And so now with the developer tool, we can maintain the file references. And that's the thing. If you have a multi-file system, you want to use this. If you have a single file system, you can just use the file system. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, this is once again, I'm trying to figure out at what skill set level, because there's a lot of implied knowledge here for you to understand why some of this is important.
Do people here, are they familiar with the separation model?
Yeah, some of them talk about it. I'm not a fan of that, and they get mad at me.
I mean, there was a time and place for that. I don't know if it's necessary anymore, but there's still reasons.
Margaret, it's in our book that way. We told people
there's still reasons to separate files. Like you can have other reasons. You could have maybe you want to. It's a big table and you want to back it up separately, or it's like an almost separate app, but you want some connections between it. Like those are fine. That's good reasons to do separation. I don't know that a UI versus date. Like I wouldn't start a new solution that way. Probably there's just not enough bang for the buck there. It's not worth it. But that's a common reason why you might have multiple files, right?
Yep.
And so if you have multiple files, you have external file references between them. And if you just rename the files, like by going into your Finder and like renaming the files, you break everything, right? We talked about this a bit yesterday. So with the developer tool, which is on all the servers since FileMaker 20 or 21, I can't remember. You can use the developer tool to do that, and it will maintain the internal file references, or it'll maintain the external file references that are inside each of the files. Right. And so you have to do them all in a set. You can't rename one file. Even if you're only renaming one file, you can't really. You have to rename them all because you want the links to stay the same, right?
Yep. All right, cool. Good one.
So here, this is what we're replacing. We're replacing dev with customer A. And so these will be the new file names. So let's just go ahead and do that. And you can see it popping up here behind.
Okay.
And it looks like we had it set. It looks like it doesn't delete these files, which I thought it did, but apparently it just makes new copies, which is fine. I want to do this again because I want another file set. So let me do this again, and we will rename, move, and copy. Use the developer tool. We'll do dev, but this time we'll do customer B. And admin.
Margaret, how are we doing on questions? Because we're kind of winding down towards the end.
We're winding. This will be the last thing we do. So I'm going to rename those.
Couple questions, Marks?
Will it rename internal reference links for multi-file?
Yes.
That's what we're doing here. Yeah.
That is the thing. So so now we've got 3 copies. We'll leave dev. Maybe dev's the name of a customer. Maybe. Who knows? But this is how most people do it. They put a prefix on the file set, right? So their files, all the customer files sort to one place kind of thing. So actually, no, I think what I'm going to do instead is I'll demonstrate a couple other features, which is we will take these 3 files and we'll just say bulk action close. And once they're closed, we're going to do delete. This does the same thing that deleting on the admin console does. It puts it into the remove by FMS folder.
Which means that eventually you're going to clog the toilet.
Yep, but you can clear it. You got access to the file browser, so you can go in and delete all those files.
Oh, Does the file browser allow? Okay, the file allows us to go to that folder and then.
It does. Yep.
Okay, got it.
So
Good
you can
one.
always pull files back out of there if you delete them by mistake.
Yeah.
Okay, so now our like production server for multiple customers is set up.
Mhm.
We have customer A, we've got customer B. Actually, let's just delete these guys. We don't need any of these guys on here. We'll get most of these guys out of the way. Oop. I clicked where I shouldn't have clicked. FileMaker server, Highlander utility. We don't even need, what am I on? I'm on, yeah, we don't need this. Let's just clear it out so it looks like a real production server for an SBA. Close. And then delete. Boom, they'll disappear. So here is our production server. We have 2 customers on here. Oh, shoot. I did this wrong. Oh, crap. It's going to take a little bit of time here.
That's fine. You're good.
I didn't put a hyphen in here. We need this to be the same. So let me bulk close and then bulk delete those guys. And then what I will do is we'll just do this rename one more time here. So you can see rename, move copy, will developer tool, regex will be, in this case, customer A underscore, and replace with customer B underscore. And then admin, and then the reason you need the passwords here is in order to use the developer tool, you have to have full access to the files. So, okay, so this will get us set up with our production server serving more than one customer, right? That's the use case. And there it goes. They're all up. They're boom. They're ready to go.
And this is for SBA people. If you have an SBA
Yep.
agreement with Claris, which means you had to pay them money and have a chat with them and they get to understand what your business is about, then they will, yeah.
They'll give you the special license and pricing and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So, okay. So now we're ready. So now we'll go to our multi-tenant and did we set up we didn't do this. So let's do that. I think my password is still on my clipboard, which is nice. Save. There's our defaults. Now we start. Let's turn on. To do these sub deployments, we need advanced options. So we're going to do first one. We're going to do. This is going to be customer A, and we've got that. We'll do add options. We'll pick dev, 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 save, and then we're going to choose this. And now we're going to do dev, and we're going to do customer A underscore, just like we did before.
Okay. Okay.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And then we'll add another sub deployment, and this will be customer B. And we do the same here, admin.
Yeah, this is where the SBA. So Scott, are you there? Let's see, other people, SBA people there. This is where the multi-deployment stuff would be really great. Does it contain utility and integration? What contains the utility integration files?
Oh, what's in there? Those are like, so one way we sometimes divide things up is we'll have like a bunch of integration code in a separate file. Because it's really not about the app, it's about getting data into the app. So we treat it kind of like a separate module.
Okay.
And then the utility might be the file that you don't migrate, that you actually copy.
Okay.
Didn't show that here, but that's the idea, is that you might have
that makes a lot of sense, actually.
Yeah. So,
Good.
And so then we do dev and we do customer B, right? And that is, I think we're set to go here. So we're going from dev. We're going to do a just-in-time build, but typically when you're doing this, you're going to do a ahead of time build, give it a version number, and then you're going to come in here and pick that. You're going to pick that as the option, and you're going to use that particular version number for this server.
Okay.
So just to save time here, we're going to do this right now.
So it's going to make the clones. Everyone's going to close the files, make the clones, stage the clones, then essentially duplicate the clone, create the customer A, then duplicate the clones and create customer B. Open up A and B, and then what does it do with the staged files? You get rid of it, I guess.
But yeah, same as before. The files that are the clones that came over, they get deleted because when you migrate, you get a new copy.
Right.
the
No,
third copy.
I was verbally trying to, it's a test. If I can recite all that, then I have a grasp of what you're doing.
Yeah, so it says customer A is running, customer B is queued. And we can look on here, if we look on deployments, you can see we're doing a multi-tenant, which has
Mm.
two sub-deployments happening,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's all happening here too as well. So now it's running through. And if I got this all set up right, it's going to go through the whole process. It's going to migrate one, and then it's going to migrate the other. And I did not check the box to abort if one fails, because I actually don't care. Like if one succeeds and if one fails, but the next one succeeds, that's still fine. I might say that's fine. Customer B got the update. Then I have to figure out what happened to customer A, and I deal with that. But then it'll go as far as it can, basically, before you'll get some work done. It won't roll back the entire deployment. So that is that. Well, that's kicking off as well. That's happening.
That
Any
Yeah, this
questions?
is pretty
Anything that's going
impressive.
on?
This is a big deal for SBA, right? So Margaret, want
We
to
have
jump in there with
questions.
some?
Yes.
Yeah, let's go. I was looking at there's a guy, Fogels here. Can we save the auto deploy for future deployment? So can we save that work that we did and
Yeah,
recycle that build or
you can just
whatever
keep
those?
going. Yeah,
Yeah.
you can just use it over and over again. So typically, once the multi-tenant people, the SBAs only have to set up their deployments once,
Mm.
or unless they add a new customer, then they have to come in and add a new sub deployment.
Yep.
That customer, or if they delete a customer, they have to do that. But otherwise, they just go in and they just kick off their deployments. And this is why people can do 1,000 files on a Saturday morning, because it's all just set up. You just
Yeah.
go, and it gets done. So it's chugging along here. Where are we? We're in custom. So B is now running.
Yeah, we're about to get confetti again here pretty quick
We are.
because it's banging away on this stuff.
Yeah. So
Opening files. There we go.
starting. Yep. Boom. Confetti.
Boom, boom, confetti. That's so
Confetti.
nice. Makes me
Confetti.
so happy. I love confetti.
Yeah. So
Now keep it. Everyone's going to have confetti in their databases because Todd made it cool.
I
So,
did make it cool.
he did make
Actually,
it cool.
that was Kyle. I'll give credit. It was Kyle. Kyle got the confetti in there. I think Eric was the one who originally found it, but maybe Kyle did. I can't remember. But we decided we just had to have the confetti.
That's so wonderful. All right, other questions we have from anyone? Because we're into this coming up on 90 minutes. I need to get up and walk around a little bit. Great job, Todd, as always. So this covers the and so this is your public service announcement. This is all still free, totally
Yeah.
free, totally
I
amazing.
mean, you saw some things that you can pay us for in this case. You can buy servers and storage and SSO, but everything else was everything.
Very rarely do we
free.
have people come on the show and give away this much free shit, right? It makes me feel like I'm gonna have to up my game or something, right? So yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we really just want we want developers to have this kind of power. And what we discovered at first is that, again, we tried to charge for this. Like we tried to make a commercial product out of it, but a lot of weird things got in the way. Like if you're a dev and you got a customer and you want your customer to buy this product, and then so they get the product, and then like what happens if you're not their dev anymore? Like
yeah.
Who's paying for that? There's so many things that got in the way of people getting to use these tools that we just said, you know what, we got to find another way to monetize this.
Okay.
Because people need to have these tools. And so
I agree. I think it's great. So everyone check out Proof Geist. Do a search for OttoFMS,
Automatic.cloud.
Automatic.cloud is the
if you want the sauce. So that's the AutoFMS. That's the server side piece. You can download that for free. And if you want to pay us for servers or other things, automatic.cloud, go in, create an account, buy servers, buy S3 storage.
Great job, Todd. Margaret, I'm going to let you in this because I have to run. I'm being summoned over this way. So
yes.
right,
Okay.
Cool.
Thank you, everyone.
Good?
Yeah. We will see you all tomorrow.
All right. Good. Excellent.
Cool. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
See ya.